And now, it's time for a breakdown with Sage Jones.
In 2024, hip-hop has reached its 50th anniversary of regenerative creativity and trendsetting. The current climate of culture is that the South is and has been running the game for the past 20 years. And that argument is sound because everything has a southern trap sound of some sort, and the drill sound to me is just an indirect derivative of the popular trappy sounds. And regardless of what you may think, Atlanta was the gatekeeper of the Dirty South movement and the full-on acceptance of southern hip-hop culture at large. But was Atlanta the best or the worst thing that happened to hip-hop? Now, before you jump off the roof and say, man, hey, shout man, all y'all knew y'all all the same, allow me to give you some reference points to better shape the commentary. Now, if you were smart enough to watch my top 50 countdown, two things should be apparent. One, I am a huge fan of Southern hip-hop because of the timely exposure to it. And two, I was old enough to experience the coming of age of hip-hop with the New York experience and the Atlanta Dirty South coming of age experience. Remember, I moved to Atlanta the summer of '98, the optimal time of the South taking off in the culture. Really, we could say '96 because of ATLiens and the impact New Orleans and No Limit had at that point as well. But up until '94, when Outkast released Southern Playalistic, the litmus test was, can you get New York radio to spin your music? Now, if hip-hop started in New York in 1973 and had a firm stranglehold on the game for the first 15 years, creating and innovating, then in '88, the West Coast firmly plants their flag, the door opened for other regions to confidently get involved because finally, it's not just KRS and Kane or Hev or Roxanne Shantae or Biz Markie being seen on the videos and heard on the radios. Now, we got Bloods and Crips and Sixth Form Pilots and Gang Bang and the Little Rock, but it still had to get the New York stamp to be considered valid. Like it or not, before Cass, Ghetto Boys put out music in '88 but really didn't get recognition till '91 with Mind Playing Tricks on Me. Then you had Two Live Crew, who really weren't lyricists. They made the down south booty shake music somewhat of a commercial thing with songs like Doodle Brown and It's Your Birthday. But I will tip my hat to Two Live Crew and Uncle Luke for abusing their First Amendment right and gave us the infamous parental advisory sticker on the front of new tape shoe board. Anyway, the South had a presence, not a spot just yet though. Although there was a huge network growing outside of the Northeast region, the West Coast had influence on every other region outside of New York, from Texas to Tennessee to Florida, but you still had to measure up to the lyrical standard New York set in order to align with the culture and be recognized. Lyrics mattered, and the West Coast had that initially. The South was still becoming. Maybe not to the South, but to where it mattered at the time, okay? It's facts. '94 rolls around, Outkast dropped Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, and then the pendulum swung south in '95. And I'm not just saying because No Limit and Master P had their bout introduction, but the historical Source Awards of '95, when Outkast won Best New Group and got met with boos. And Dre took to the mic to say,
but it's like this, the South got something to say, that's all I got to say.
That's when it changed, and we as a culture had to start taking the South seriously because Big Boy and Dre were legitimate MCs. They just had accents. Most of us Northerners viewed as country, and if you was country, we didn't take you that serious at the time. And if I'm not mistaken, our DMV family called people Bammers because if you were less than desirable in any way in their eyes, you was a Bama. And Bama is a derivative of the word Alabama, somebody from, the South. All right, just a side note. But when you made it past the accents and the new lingo, we realized they got a story just like we do. It's just in a different tenor. And that was okay. So from '91 to '96, there was a slow boil brewing beneath the Mason-Dixon line. And each region had a hand in the bringing of notoriety. We obviously had Outkast and Jermaine Dupri leading the charge from Atlanta. But then that brought us Goody Mob and the whole Dungeon family. Luda, Youngbloods, Jim Crow, Jazzy Faye. Then up the way in Memphis, we had 8Ball and MJG, DJ Paul, 3 6 Mafia, Project Pat. Texas gave us the Swisher House, UGK, Scarface, and Ghetto Boys DJ Screw with the whole chopped and screw sound, and Purple Drink. Louisiana had P and No Limit and the TRU and the Upstart Cash Money label. Florida had the Booty Shake scene on lock. Two Live Crew, 69 Boys, 95 South Quad City DJs. So there was a versatile blend that gave the range to where the culture and the music could explore. This only set the stage for more greatness to find its way to the top of the pile. And that it did. There are top tier MCs and needle movers that hail from the Southern culture. But 1997 was a defining year in hip hop, not just because of all of the heat that was released by the industry giants of that time, but by the seismic tsunami of the next shift that hadn't even surfaced yet.